Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulihi. Amma ba'du. I greet the students, the Mali students, the guests, listeners. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to our Saturday morning ta'aleem, looking at the blagger and commentary by Imam Warith Deen Mohammed, or I would say based on Imam Warith Deen Mohammed. I have coined the writing Warithian writings, and we'll be looking at that today. I did not add writings based upon Ibn Arabi with it. These writings today will be strictly Warithian writings. They're not copy and paste, they're not quotations, but it's based upon the logic of Imam Warith Deen Mohammed, researched from his writings. The logic, the presentation is researched from his writings. Of course, I've added my own ideas in with it, but for the most part, I call them Warithian writings, Warithian readings. So we'll be looking at that today. We're looking at the night of power. So before Ramadan starts, we'll be looking at verses that's dealing with or addressing the month of Ramadan. So this is chapter 97 of the Qur'an, and it's entitled The Night of Power. So let's jump right in. We read the surah. It's a short chapter. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna anzalnahu fi laylati al-qadri. I know the students know this. I know I don't need to translate it for the students. For those who do not know, chapter 97 of the Qur'an. These are addresses or classes pertaining directly to Mali students. Well, there are students in Ghana too, so maybe I should translate it for them. There we have language. Africa, there are many, many languages. In Africa, maybe branches of maybe what's called main or dominant language. They have maybe branches. So in Ghana, Hausa is a very dominant language in a certain region, and you have Chi that's very dominant in a certain region. Ga, the Ga people, Greater Accra, have their language, and of course English. The people there who go to school, they will speak English. But there are some students that may not know English well. They may not be able to go from Arabic to English. They can go from Arabic to Hausa probably, and I've seen some of them. They can go from the Qur'anic Arabic to Hausa, but they can't go from Qur'anic Arabic to English. They can go from Hausa to English. Language is a very peculiar thing, language. I haven't studied language as a sociologist, but it would be a very interesting subject to study. If you're a sociologist or anthropologist, what have you, language, whatever science it falls under, language itself, and then to uh, go to Africa and study the people and their languages. They all, now, to me, they all look alike. They really do. When it comes to when you think they will all speak the same language, but they don't. There's a difference. And I guess they can tell each other by their accents and things. I'm saying just the people. If I go in Accra, you have a lot of people. Just a little discussion before we get started about language. A lot of people there. See a lot of people on the street. To me, they all look alike. They're black people. But being there, I find that they all don't speak the same tribal language. So you have major, Hausa is a major language. They tell me if you're going to learn a language, learn Hausa first. But even the tribe that I'm associated with, Bisa, the Bisa people, they have their own language. And I go online and I see them talking to each other on Facebook. And they're very proud people. They're very proud. We have groups that are very proud of their tribal existence. And you have a group of them, they try to do the best they can. They're really trying. The world, the internet, all of this is coming. They're interacting in the world through social media, tradition. They really try, the leaders, the chiefs, they want to hold on to their traditions. Very strong in tradition. And you find it in the young people. A lot of the young people, they're strong in holding on to their tradition, especially their language. So, saying that, all of that to say, I would say it in English. I have to realize there are a few more students I picked up in Ghana. So I'll say it in English. And that would help them, if they don't know the English. Inna, surely we, anzalnahu, we revealed it, fi in laylati, the night al-qadri, the night of power. Wama, and what adraka, what will cause you to know? Adraka, what will inform you? Man, what Laylatul Qadr? What is Laylatul Qadr? Laylatul Qadr, the night of power, Laylatul Qadr, Khayrun is better, min than Alfi Shahrin, 1,000 months. 1,000 months. Tanazzalu al-malaikatu, the angels. And what aruhu, the angels and the spirit. They descend, come down, they descend. The angels and the spirit descend, fiha, in the night of power. Bi-izni, by the permission, Rabbihim, of their Lord. Min kulli amrin, from every command. And I'm translating it straight and literal. Salamun hiya. Let me move it up a little. Salamun hiya. Peace it is. I think I can say it like that in English. It is peace. Peace it is. Hatta, until Matli al-Fajr, the rising of dawn. So now, that's enough for the students in Ghana. Let's look at the first verse. I'm going to do this verse by verse. We'll look at the Balaga, and then we'll have the commentary verse by verse. We'll see how far we can get with this. So verse 1, Inna anzalnahu fi laylatil qadri. At Tashbih, looking at the Balaga, we have the four principles of Al-Bayan. And today we're just going to be looking at Al-Bayan. Under Al-Bayan, we have Tashbih, Al-Istiara, Al-Majaz, and Al-Kinaya. Under the Tashbih, there are four elements of Tashbih. We have the subject, the tool of comparison, the subject of comparison, the tool of comparison, the object of comparison, and the aspect of comparison. So here there is no explicit simile. Tashbih is the simile. There is no explicit tashbih in the structure. There is no particle of comparison like a ka or mithla. That's a when you're looking at explicit tashbih, that's the important element. Very important element is the tool of tashbih. So when we say there's no particle of comparison, there's no tool. And no stated object of comparison. There's no object of comparison. So the sentence is declarative without an express figurative image in terms of tashbih. El-Istiara anzalnahu in the first verse. Anzalnahu is an explicit metaphor. It's an explicit istiara. Being borrowed. El-Istiara, we're borrowing this term. We descended it. We caused it to come down. We caused it to come down. It, by most of the commentators, is the Qur'an. And I'm not going to discuss anything different from that. We may have a short comment, but in this context, we're speaking of the Qur'an. So it's an explicit metaphor. And this word istiara, you will see this word quite often for those of you who are using Ar-Raghib al-Isfahani dictionary of the Qur'an. It's a very popular dictionary throughout the Muslim world. Arabic dictionary of the Qur'an by Ar-Raghib. It's well known by the author's name, Ar-Raghib. So, taking the physical act of sending something down. The physical act of sending something down from above and applying it to the descent of revelation and meaning. So we're going to borrow this idea of physically sending something down, physically coming down from something. we're going to apply it to the scent of revelation and meaning, liking intelligible meaning to a body descending from a height to a recipient. We may say ontologically speaking, something descending from a height of honor, of great honor, a place of great honor to a recipient. A great honor of a divine essence coming down to human, to the human essence. So we're borrowing this idea, even though space and time may not exist in terms of a certain existence. We don't have space and time, the concept of space and time in that space of existence, like, or even space, we don't have. We don't have this, we can't express it in the spiritual sense to make it easy for you. But here in the physical sense, in our manifested physical existence, we have the concept of space and time. So here we take the physical idea of, in terms of space and time, something descending from one place to another. Now we're going to borrow that physical idea that we understand and applying it to a spiritual idea, spiritual existence. This is not common for the people in the West to think like this. It's not common for a lot of religious people who talk like this, but it almost becomes magical conversation, magical belief, so forth and so on. So trying to give you an idea of how this word is borrowed. Laylatul Qadri can also be read as an implied metaphor. If Qadr is taken as nobility, it is as though nobility were a thing to which the night is annexed. The night is annexed to nobility, or as though the night were a locus, a central place in which measures and destinies are gathered in this night. In terms of this night, measures, this word measures, or even destinies. And you will see in some translations, they may say the night of measure. And this measure is better than 1,000 months. Or you would even say the night of destiny. The night of destiny, Qadr. The night of predestination. Different idea of this word Qadr. Maybe we will do a presentation just on the concept of Qadri and Qadr. Qadr and Qadri. I'm not doing it here today, but we can take a look at that. Qadri and Qadr. El-Majaz. There is a logical metonymy in attributing we send it down to the divine we. Although the direct performer is Jibril. the angel Jibril, may be the direct performer. The intermediary is omitted, and the act is ascribed to the one who commands it. So even though Jibril is doing the act, he's performing the act, but he is being omitted, and the one who commands it, we would say Allah. Allah is now the one who the act is being ascribed to. We could be the angels and the spirit, Jibril and the spirit is doing the act of bringing the Qur'an down. If we want to add to Muhammad the Prophet, praise and peace be upon him. But in this verse, we're ascribing it to the one who commands it. We had this example, is you may say that the king built the castle. Or you may even say, I built my own house. I built my own house. I built this house. No, I didn't. The carpenters, the builders, the workers built the house. They built it, but you may ascribe the building to the owner of the house. A standard assigning of an act to its cause, of an act to its cause, rather than its immediate agent. So we have anzalna, causation. Anzalna, you see grammatically, anzalnahu is causation. There is also metonymy in the pronoun we sent it down being used for the whole Qur'an. This is rather important for our discussion, or I could say for my discussion and my argument, that the month of Ramadan is a ritual month more so than a calendar month. I know I have to reiterate this over and over. It's something that may be new to the ears, to many ears, that it's more so a ritual month for us than a calendar month. When we talk about Ramadan and the rituals that we are going to enter into during this month of Ramadan. And because of my age, I have to say I got it from Imam Warith Deen Mohammed in a conversation. It's not in writing. I didn't get it in writing. I got it in a conversation with him. And why should I not have the conversation with him when I had already demonstrated for years, and that's written, that's recorded in the Muslim Journal of me having an interest in citing, researching the sighting of the crescent of Ramadan, citing the new crescent every month. I'm putting it in the Muslim Journal before this conversation. So logically, why would I not have the conversation? Even though I didn't initiate the conversation, he initiated the conversation. He came to Detroit one day. I picked him up at the airport. He came for a janazah, a funeral. I picked him up at the airport. We went to have breakfast. He initiated the conversation at breakfast. Okay. So in the conversation, he's showing that it's a ritual. It's a ritual month. We have calendar month for telling times. That's what we use the calendar to tell times. This week, next week, this day, and we plan our life around the calendar. I would call it a commercial calendar. We plan our activity around the commercial calendar. But this month of Ramadan is not a commercial month. It's a ritual month. And it's based upon the ritual. The month is a ritual, not so much the calendar month, a commercial calendar month. And sometimes the days will coincide, and sometimes the days do not coincide. So so there's a metonymy in the pronoun we send it down being used for the whole month. While under one consideration, the intent is its first portion, or the sum in a compressed form. This treats the whole as present via its decisive initial descent, saying that the majaz here is that though this month, and this is how many treat it, though a portion, let's say the first 5 verses, the first revelation came down in this month to Muhammad the Prophet, and that's easier to comprehend. And a portion, though a portion came down this month, that portion represents the whole, as though the whole. For example, you take the word woman, womb. A portion of the woman, a part of the woman, the womb, is representative of the whole woman. But the womb is not the whole woman. You got the womb, the legs, the arms, the head. But the womb is taken, when you speak of the womb and woman, you're speaking of the whole woman, though it's only a part of the woman. This is the idea of majaz here that he's explaining. Though those first 5 verses came in this reading, many will treat it as the whole Qur'an coming down, a representative of the whole. Now, if we say many commentators will say the whole comes down, again speaking, ontologically speaking, the whole comes down, then we would know that this night is not one night in terms of 1 8-hour night. You know, because we know it came down for a period of 23 years. So maybe we'll have further discussion. Al-Kinaya. Laylatul Qadri is an indirect expression, indirect figure of speech for a night of great honor and distinction with God. Since merely annexing it to Qadri. Qadri is rank or measuring out. Signals the elevated status of what occurs in it. It becomes a great honor without explicitly stating honored, exalted, or great. Without explicitly stating that, it's implied in the idea of Qadri in terms of when we measure out 1,000 months, we're measuring out a period of time. And what occurs in this time gives this night great honor and exaltation. But it's not literally expressed. It's figuratively expressed by saying Laylatul Qadri. The Warithian Commentary, and this is not a literal Imam W. Deen Mohammed commentary, but it's based upon the writings of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. By myself, a student of Imam W. Deen Mohammed. The phrase, "we sent it down," does not solely refer to the historical revelation of the Qur'an. It also signifies the continuous descent of the divine word from the unseen mother of the book into the hearts, imaginations, and expressions of the perfect human. In this context, the perfect human concludes with Muhammad the Prophet, through whom Allah imparts knowledge about the inner workings and nature of creation into human consciousness. So, in my argument, it's not it's not speaking so much of historical revelation of the Qur'an this night. The crucial inquiry is not how the physical universe originated in time, but how its structure, laws, and purposes are understood by the human mind. Let me digress for one moment. So some scholars will say that who? when we say Anzalana, it's not the Qur'an, it's the universe itself coming into existence. However, in one discussion, the Imam is saying that perhaps he doesn't want to say he disagreed with a certain scholar about it, but he have his own idea about it. But I'm including it in the writing. That's why it's not quotations from Imam W. Muhammad. But just keep in mind what I'm saying with the Qur'an. So it's how the physical universe is understood by the human mind. Still in the Qur'an, enabling us to benefit from that understanding. The night of power represents a phase of ignorance before the emergence of a scientifically informed, Quran-guided perception of the world within the individual, which eventually influences the broader human community. Therefore, the night of power becomes the dark, receptive, and undifferentiated space for manifestation, whether within the heart or the world, as a community of possibilities, where the complete essence of the Qur'an, along with all its potential outcomes, becomes defined. That's the night of power. Now let's go to the verse. Laylatul Qadri Khayrun min alfi shahrin. The tashbih. Here there's an implied tashbih in the ruling from better than 1,000 months. It is understood, implicit, it is understood that this night resembles in the abundance of reward and the length of its spiritual yield 1,000 months of worship, and even surpasses them. So this night is better than all the rewards that would come from acts of worship for 1,000 months. You spend 1,000 months in prayer, and rewards for you praying 1,000 months this one night is better. You give in charity for 1,000 months. The rewards and benefits that come from your charity for 1,000 months, this one night is better. So forth and so on. El-Istiaza, El-Fi Shahrin, can be treated as a metaphor for very great length and extended time, 1,000 months. Not merely a strict numerical count, not looking literally at a calendar and counting 1,000 months on the calendar, using the number to stand for the idea of magnitude. When we're reading 1,000 months, once again, we're not talking about a calendar night, a night on the calendar. This is important for us in religious studies. Yes. Because many of our religious leaders are selling us miracles and magic, not science. We're talking science, not miracles and magic, the way we understand miracle and magic. El-Fi Shahrin, in terms of majalis, may function as a conventional metonymy if the number is taken as rhetorical for extreme abundance rather than precise tally. 1,000 in Arabic usage often symbolizes great multiplicity. The judgment, better than 1,000 months, is also a kind of logical metonymy, as goodness is ascribed to the night itself, even though the true locus of goodness is the believer's deeds and their recompense in it. The temporal container is spoken of in place of what it contains. This is the idea of majalis. El-Kinaya, the verse is an indirect expression for the superiority of the divine manifestation in that night over all other times. The necessary implication is that whoever is granted it has attained spiritual good that exceeds what long lifetimes without that night could secure. This is the Kinaya. So it's in terms of figuratively, using figurative language and speaking of this night. Alluding to. It's alluding to the idea of what occurred this night. It's alluding to that. So, and for the student, I'm not supposed to tell you every detailed thing. Use your mind to think and put it together. Go back and listen to the recording. And see this connection, if you want. This connection with Muhammad the Prophet. Or even with all of the prophets. See the connection of what we're saying here. With this night, the Qur'an, and Muhammad the Prophet. What occurred? But once again, we're not looking at time and space in terms of the calendar night. That's why we're looking at Balaga to bring us clarity when reading Qur'an. And it helps us understand Imam W. Deen Mohammed, those who are students or followers of Imam W. Deen Mohammed, a person like him. These Balaga principles, we're putting a science, the science of language. We're studying the science of language that we can better understand the great minds in religion like Imam Warith Deen Mohammed, or even like the great Sheikh Ibn Arabi. The phrase better than 1,000 months is not a calendar calculation and should not be interpreted as a simple numerical comparison of rewards. This is from the Warithian Commentary. Instead, it emphasizes the exceptional value of a single moment of genuine, unveiled connection with the divine compared to a lifetime of ritualistic worship done without insight. It highlights how a clear, Allah-guided, God-guided understanding can be more valuable than long periods of routine life devoid of such insight. Another very important idea coming from Imam W. Deen Mohammed. Again, not literally, so I'd say from the Warithian Commentary. This notion is particularly relevant for fostering a scientifically awakened, Qur'an-informed mindset within a community, which can lead to progress and the advancement of civilization after long periods of intellectual stagnation. Yes. Now we can apply this directly, immediately, to our own experience as African Americans in this country. Now, I may say, digress a moment, you may think, yes, it's a miracle that this mind have gone long periods devoid of insight, intellectual stagnation for long periods, and then, bam, this night, he becomes inspired. And that inspiration like an explosion. It's still advancing, civilizations on top of civilizations, magic, like magic. Yes. Well, we could say me sitting here in my house in Detroit area, speaking to people not just all over the country, all over the world, and have my pen and I'm drawing on this instrument, and you are sitting, listening, and watching as I draw and speak. We could call that magic if we don't understand how this computer system works. We don't know the science. I just know this is a marvelous thing to sit and teach. And I didn't have to go anywhere in terms of space. That we can have a school, actually have a school 6 o'clock in the morning through this instrument that I have no conception of how it works. To me, I would say it's magic. To me, I would say it's a miracle compared to long periods of my life without having such tools. Wishing that I could go back and have a tool like this when I was 15 years old. I could easily say it's magic, but it's not magic of what we call magic. It's not a miracle of what we call miracle. It's science. Scientifically awakened. The concept of 1,000 can be associated with various levels of knowledge and civilization. Stages that recur in both history and the individual soul. Therefore, we're talking about 1,000 now. 1,000 can represent a complete order of development. The entire progression of a civilization or the full potential of an individual before they receive higher guidance. In this sense, 1,000 signifies the culmination of time, effort, and development at the human level, which can then be transcended by a single moment of true guidance from Allah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I'm going to stop here. Next week we will look at verse 4 and verse 5. We'll look at 4 and 5 next week. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. I thank you for your time in listening. Assalamu alaikum.